The Los Angeles Angels played baseball tonight, so you already know exactly what happened. The pitching was bad, but not terrible. The lineup was lifeless with runners in scoring position. Oh, and the Halos hit a late home run that meant absolutely nothing, just so they could say they didn't get shut out. We'll talk about another typical, frustrating loss for our Angels on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. And most of all, hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels feed. You heard me in the intro. The Angels played baseball, so you know exactly what happened. Lifeless offensive performance. Another offer with runners in scoring position. Just one run on a late ninth inning useless home run from Willie Calhoun. The pitching was not great. Certainly Carson Fulmer wasn't great. The player of the game might have been Kenny Rosenberg. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about how tonight went. As always, shout out to all of you in here. At this point, we all know that you guys are the reason I do this show, other than it being my job. It's you guys. It's not this team. It's not exciting performances or noteworthy games or anything, honestly, to give you hope and excitement about the future. You know, a couple weeks ago, at least we had the young guys playing well. We had some shocking series wins against the Yankees and Mets. Right now, we have nothing. We have Zach Neto and a late home run from some random person, and otherwise, we have nothing. But at least I have you guys have me, and you guys have each other. So let's keep making this the community, the place to be after every single Angels game, because we'll be here. Unlike some people, we will be here every single night or day whenever the Angels play, regardless of if they win or lose, if they get shut out or they shut out the other team. I'm not a fair weather fan, and I'm not a fair weather post-game host either. I will be here no matter what for you guys. So shout out to all of you. If you appreciate me, if you appreciate the postcast as much as I appreciate you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump right into this one. On tonight's show, we will talk about Carson Fulmer not being great. Really struggled early in the game. The Angels fell behind early, and when this team falls behind early, they're usually lifeless. We'll talk about the bullpen actually being pretty solid. Specifically, Mr. Rosenberg was pretty good. He pitched 5 innings, only gave up 1 run. We'll give him his credit. But we'll start, as always, with the offense being underwhelming. And we're going to introduce a new segment after I quickly introduce the sponsor of today's show. It is FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And I just promised a new segment, and let's introduce it. It's called Gavin's Good, Bad, and Ugly. Maybe it's corny. Maybe we'll need a new name, but for now, that's what we're going with. It's Gavin's Good, Bad, and Ugly. What's the good? We'll start with the good, because at this point, you got to find something positive to talk about before we just get into all the negatives. The good, there's 2 things, I think. Number 1, Zach Neto, man, is he the real deal. He's hitting like .310 since the All-Star game. 3 for 4 tonight. He did have a strikeout, but 3 for 4 continues to be absolutely scorching. One of the best hitters in all of baseball in the last couple of weeks. We know against the New York teams, hitting home runs, having 8 RBI days, grand slams, 3-run homers, doubles, all that jazz. We had it again tonight. Zach Neto just continues to get it done. A single in the first inning for him when there's not much life. Otherwise, once his team's already behind a bunch of runs, another single for Zach Neto in the bottom of the 3rd. He just kept getting it done when a lot of guys in this lineup continue to not get it done. And it's really frustrating. He did have a strikeout. He did. But other than that, he was great. 3 for 4. We'll take it. At this point, I've been saying it. O'Hoppe, Zach Neto, originally they were fighting for the face. I'm still a huge fan of Logan O'Hoppe. I know we all are. But, man, has he been absolutely brutal. We're lucky, and it's good to see him out there today because he very easily could not have been playing, given the right leg soreness yesterday, the right knee soreness. But, honestly, whether it's injury, whether it's playing too much. I think he needs a couple of days off. He's absolutely in the biggest funk we've seen all year. There was a point when this guy was, headed for a 850 OPS. He was hitting home runs every other night. He was hitting home runs in big moments, late in games, being a great leader, throwing guys out at second. He still will give you great fielding. He'll still give you above average athleticism at catcher, which is why he is such a great all-around player. But boy, he can't hit anything right now. So that was brutal. And Zach Neto continues to claim that throne as the face of the franchise for the future. So that was the good. Zach Neto, 3 for 4. The OPS is 793. The average is 266. Let's get that average to 275. Let's get that OPS over 800. We would love to see that while you continue to also have an above average glove. The only other positive is Kenny Rosenberg. The only other good in this good, bad, and ugly segment is Kenny Rosenberg. 5 innings pitched. He gives up just 2 hits, does have 2 walks. But 5 innings for a guy who has not been good at all. He eats up 5 innings after a poor Carson Fulmer start. 5 innings pitched, like I said, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, but no home runs. He had 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits. Nothing terrible for 5 innings. Resilient when there's runners on base. Got to give him a lot of credit because boy has he been bad. He has not been good at all. Just another guy that's kind of a bullpen arm there to eat up innings. Okay. The ERA is still 6.87. Okay, he's only played 4 games. I froze. I think I'm still here. Did everyone still see me? I think I'm okay. I think the computer just had a little heart attack there. Maybe it's because I was about to read Kenny Rosenberg's stats. But 6.87 ERA this year, even after this performance, he has not been great at all. You don't need me to tell you that. He only had 3 appearances before tonight, but boy was he bad. July 11th, 6 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, 3 walks. July 20th, 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. And then July 25th, 3 1/3, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 home runs. And mind you, this was against Seattle, Oakland, and Oakland. 2 of the worst lineups and hitting teams in all of baseball. So the Blue Jays aren't world beaters, certainly, but still really encouraged to see him have a great outing. That was the good. What's the bad? We're saving the ugly for, you already know what the ugly is going to be. The bad, unfortunately, Carson Fulmer. 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs, man. 2 home runs in a big 2 solo shot 3rd inning. The Blue Jays decided to have a little Angels moment and have 2 solo shots. Oh, wait, that's what the Angels did in an entire game yesterday. But it started right away. Top of the 1st inning. If you didn't watch, leadoff walk. How many times have I said, you lead off an inning with a walk, you're asking for trouble. The baseball gods, even if you get it to 2 outs, even if you have great pitches, when you have a leadoff walk, it never works out. You lead off the game, walking George Springer, you get 2 outs. Varsho and Vlad Jr., back-to-back ground outs. Okay, you're like, he's going to get out of this one. But then he walks Spencer Horwitz with Springer on second base. It's okay. He was kind of pitching around Horwitz. Don't want to mess around with him. But when you pitch around him, it's so that you can get Ernie Clement up. But what does Ernie Clement do? He falls behind 0-2. He fouls off a sweeper right down the middle that could have been crushed. And then what do you give him again? Another sweeper in a very hittable spot. And it certainly wasn't ripped. It was a ground ball just, in the right spot. Gets by Zach Neto. And just like that, it's 1-0 Blue Jays. But they were not done. Will Wagner, Billy Wagner's son, who literally was making his debut yesterday. And I think, poor Willie Wagner probably thinks MLB is easy because he started his career playing against the Angels. So he thinks that playing Major League Baseball is easy. He was great again today, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. He's now hitting 625 in his young career, a 1.625 OPS. That's what happens when you start your career against the Angels. But then he, like he's been doing all game and all series so far, rips another extra base hit, a double down the line to right field. Horwitz scores, Clement scores. It's 3-0 just like that. So Carson Fulmer has a little Griffin Canning moment, an awful 1st inning. And I've been giving Carson Fulmer a lot of credit. I'm still not going to rip into him fully. He's not the ugly in this good, bad, and ugly segment. He's just the bad because at the end of the day, he's been performing above expectations. Not even supposed to be a starting pitcher for this team at all. And he eats up innings for the most part. But not tonight because after that poor 1st inning, in the bottom of the 3rd, he gives up not 1, but 2 solo shots. And what is the issue? He's like Davis Daniel in that the stuff is not crazy electric. He has a pretty solid sweeper, but his 4-seam fastball, like Davis Daniel, it's not hard. There's no movement. So if you miss it, you're toast. You're toast. And so the first home run was a sweeper right down the middle. That's your pitch, and you hang it on a full count, or not a full count, on 2-2 to Vlad Guerrero Jr., and he crushes it. 394, 100.9 exit velo. And then what happens? The very next at-bat, Spencer Horwitz, okay, maybe you're not that confident in your sweeper. It just got crushed, albeit you hung it right down the middle. Lead off, or first pitch curveball, nowhere near. You throw 2 fastballs on the corner. Okay. But why? You throw 2 fastballs on the corner. Why in the world are you going to throw a third straight fastball and then you miss it right down the middle on 1 and 2? And just like Davis Daniel yesterday, if you miss a fastball right down the middle, when you only throw 92 miles an hour, and when it's as straight as could be, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? And so Horowitz, unsurprisingly, fastball up and down the middle on 1 and 2, and he crushes it. 102.8 exit velo, 399 feet, and it's 5-0 Blue Jays. And as we all know, this ball game is over. The Angels were already showing you that they were having another game where they were just going to be lifeless offensively, and you fall behind 5-0 in the top of the third. Oh man, this ball game is over. So that's the bad Carson Fulmer, and there was so much bad, and try to emphasize the good as much as possible, that we're going to have to wait till after the break to get to the ugly. This first segment, or this new segment, we're going to work on it, okay? We'll make it a little bit shorter so we can fit it in, the good, bad, and ugly. But we'll have the ugly. It's a little cliffhanger. We'll talk about the ugly after our first break here on another poor losing Locked On Angels postcast. We'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you by Ibotta. Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer. But don't stress out about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all your summer essentials. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite your favorite grocery store. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. And today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball, baby. Shout out to FanDuel. Back here live on Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. I didn't even mention that. If you don't know who I am, if you're a new Postcast watcher, welcome. If you don't know who I am, I spent the last 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, and I'm now a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, baby. And we started the first ever edition of Gavin's Good, Bad, and Ugly. We got to the good, we got to the bad. It's time for the ugly. And take one guess. If you didn't even watch the game, you probably know. If you're watching this after, or if you're watching this live, jump in right now and talk to your screen and say, what do you think the ugly is for the Angels as of late? Hitting with runners in scoring position? Yep, you got it right, buddy. 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. It's getting ridiculous at this point, okay? Once again, I say it every time. I try to be as nice to this team as possible. We know this lineup isn't good enough to hit 13 hits in a game. We know this lineup, as much as they love to only hit home runs, is not going to hit 5 home runs in a game. But my goodness, just go 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. There was literally games last series where they were 1 for 14. Just go 4 for 14, 3 for 14, 0 for 6. 7 runners left on base. Brutal. Bad base running. Nolan Schanuel gets thrown out in one of the only opportunities to have a guy on base. But also just the situational hitting is so awful from this team. So awful from this team. That's the ugly. And it always it's even worse when I'm starting to get tired. Let me know if you disagree and would rather, not get shut out. But I'm getting real tired of the late home run when it means nothing, okay? I'm really getting tired of it because it just bothers me. I'd rather have it be the score actually show how bad we were. Have it be 6-0. Let the entire league know that the Angels can't score a run. They can't do anything offensively, and maybe they all need to join us in this fight to get Arte Moreno out of this darn franchise, okay? Selling this dang team. New ownership, new philosophy. Embrace the rebuild. Have some young guys that are going to actually hit with runners in scoring position, right? We keep having these, people from the outside see, the Angels lost to the Blue Jays 4-2 in a game and a battle of two bad teams that was close. No, they crushed us yesterday, and the score is lying to you. Today, the Angels lost again, 6-1, just a rough game. You give up 2 home runs in 1 inning, and other than that, we only score 1 run, but, maybe you were there. You had the same amount of hits. Each team had 7 hits. Maybe the game was closer than the score shows. No, this game was even more of a blowout than this score shows. Because the Angels, they don't do anything with runners in scoring position and don't let a 9th inning home run. I'm not going to criticize the guy for doing it. Shout out to Willie Calhoun tonight. It was Joe Adell yesterday after robbing a home run. But I'm starting to get tired of it. And that doesn't even get into the fact that as someone who sets up this show every night, just a little pet peeve of mine is right when I make the thumbnail, it says 6-0, and I go to make the title, the Angels get shut out. And then Willie Calhoun hits a home run. I got to make a new thumbnail. I got to make a new title, all that stuff. I know you guys don't care, and you're not going to give me any sympathy. I'm not acting like it's that hard. It takes another 2 minutes to, make a couple edits and get it right back up. But it's just like, honestly, at this point, I was just talking about FanDuel. Maybe the second I go to make the title and make the thumbnail, maybe I need to, the second I hit download on the image, quickly make a bet on FanDuel saying that the Angels are going to hit a home run in the 9th inning because I jinx it every time with the thumbnail. Maybe I need to just say Angels lose, don't put a score, and maybe I'll jinx it so much that they'll somehow come back and win. That's all we can hope. But in this first ever Gavin's Good, Bad, and Ugly, the good, Zach Neto and Kenny Rosenberg. I guess Rosny Contreras can get thrown in there as well. The bad, Carson Fulmer. And the ugly is the lack of hitting with runners in scoring position. Just absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Skyler, he says, I couldn't agree more, Gavin. This organization needs a change in ownership, leadership, and culture. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you've got a bunch of young guys out there who they don't believe they're going to do well. They don't believe they're going to win games. Poor Zach Neto is having the stretch of his life, and he knows it's all for nothing. It's all for individual stats and, to build on it. And that's all we can ask for at this point is for Zach Neto, is for everyone to do what Zach Neto's doing and understand that, this team is not good enough, and they're so lifeless right now that they're not going to have games where 6 or 7 guys have good performances and it combines to score 6 or 7 runs. We know that at this point that it's going to be 1 or 2 guys have a good game, and then 1 or 2 guys hit a late home run late when it doesn't mean anything. So hopefully, if that's what we're limited to, keep having it be Zach Neto. Please, Logan O'Hoppe, turn it around. Nolan Cheney will be a little bit better and don't get thrown out on the bases after your only hit. Joe Adell, Mickey Moniak, try to join the party as much as possible. Michael Stefanik, if you're given the chance, try to join the party as much as possible. I guess that's all we can hope for at this point, because right now asking for this team to string multiple hits together in a row in an inning is way too much to ask for. Asking this team to score a single run, have a single base hit with a runner on third base or second base is way too much to ask for. And I know it's a joke partially, but as it says right next to me on this side, the Angels don't know what the S in the runners in scoring position stands for, what RISP stands for. Runners in what? In what? In scoring position. Scoring position. It's titled that because a base hit scores the runner when they're in that position. But boy, we have no idea that that's the thing. That's the case. We have absolutely no idea, and it's getting real frustrating. Once again, another starting pitcher who has not been fantastic. Kevin Gausman, very familiar with him because I am from the Bay Area. He was on the Giants. He throws a splitter every other darn pitch, and you know what you're going to get. But it doesn't matter. Against the Angels, they get shut down. 7 innings, 6 hits, no runs, obviously none earned, just 2 walks, 6 hits, 8 base runners, but you strike out 5 times, you get thrown out on the bases once, and you do absolutely nothing with the runners in scoring position. And then the typical thing, bullpen arms come in. Burr, he was great, 1 inning, struck out the side. Swanson strikes out 2 guys, but then he gives up 1 solo shot to Willie Calhoun. The typical stuff. We can only score when the bullpen comes in, because how many times do I need to say it? When the starter looks good for a couple innings against the Angels, you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to look good for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 innings in this game, because you can tell right away. If they don't do anything in the first couple, especially lately, if they get a runner in scoring position and don't score right away, you know they're not going to do it the rest of the game. And it's so predictable and it's so frustrating, but we keep hoping, praying that at least Zach Neto is honestly one of the only reasons that anyone should watch this team. He's keeping you excited that in a couple of years, he will be a superstar. I still have so much faith in Logan O'Hoppe. I still have faith in Nolan Shanuel. I still maybe have a little bit of faith in either Mickey Moniak or Joe Adell. I don't know. I guess we have to have faith in Taylor Ward because we didn't trade him. I guess we have to have faith in Anthony Rendon. Nope, I'm not even going to go that far. Absolutely ridiculous. Anthony Rendon is so bad. And like somebody said in the comments, yeah, Michael D54. What are the odds that Mr. $38 million hits one home run this season? Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. All right, we're going to take our last break here. When we come back, we'll get to your comments as always. We'll talk about, I guess, the last game of the series and seeing if the Angels can avoid a sweep. Tyler Anderson will be on the mound, the guy you want to see. But guess what? It doesn't really matter who's on the mound for the Angels. The offense has to do something. So we'll talk about that. We'll get to your comments, and then we'll wrap this one up here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Finally, today's show is brought to you by Supply House. Excuse me 1 second. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from their friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free TradeMaster program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the TradeMaster program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Back here live, Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. Angels lose again, 6-1. They've now lost the first two games in this series against the Toronto Blue Jays, and they've been lifeless in both of them offensively. Now 16 games under 500, 52-68, and that road to avoiding 100 losses, it was looking good when you played the Mets and won 2 of 3, when you played the Yankees and won 2 of 3. It was looking like we were going to dodge that road to 100, but hey, buckle up. We're not there yet. Obviously, 120 games in, I can do math. I can do 52 plus 68. Give me some pats on the back. I did just graduate from college, from UCLA. Should be able to do 52 plus 68. Good thing I can. 120 games in, 42 more to go. You can't lose 32 of them. Should not be hard to go 10 or 11 and 31 at the least. I think we can do that. But honestly, if we keep hitting like we're doing lately, you don't know. You never know. We're going to get to your comments, and then we'll real quickly preview tomorrow's game. Tyler Anderson on the mound for the Angels. Please, 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 please tell me that Tyler Anderson will for once get some run support and for once will lead to a win. Let's get to your comments. We already talked a little bit about, we'll start from the beginning. Jeff in here, as always, first, he says, I know it's early. I hope the Angels can do something and we win. We shall see. But then he comes in with looks like a shout out tonight. Good thing he jinxed things and didn't make it a shout out. Thank you, Jeff. But yes, lifeless. And Skylar right away uses the same word. Another lifeless, heartless, disgusting performance. Look at those adjectives. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely true. 3 for 45 with the runners in scoring position is not going to cut it. Yeah, they've been absolutely abysmal the last 5 games. We are playing down to the competition, and it's sad, too inconsistent. Anaheim Angels, same thing. More of the same, nothing. Why do we always play down to the level of competition? Let me talk about this, actually. Why is it? I mean, obviously, there's no, one single concrete reason, but I'm just going to keep using my same theory, okay? And I'm normally not a guy who likes to just use these theories that aren't backed in stats and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I'm going to keep saying it. This is a 110% momentum team, a vibes team, a feels team, an emotion team. Think about all the time the Angels have played well, have strung wins together. Early in the season, we were becoming a meme. You need a Ron Washington team meeting for this team to wake up and do something. How many times was this team awful, and then you'd have a team meeting, Ron Washington would be the good, emotional leader as a manager that he is, say the right words to the young guys, ask for some leadership from the veterans, and you turn it around for a couple of games, right, with these team meetings. Other than that, when does this team play well? When they're playing good teams. because they're extra motivated. The young guys get extra amped up. Maybe it's, for some of these guys, it's their first time going to Yankee Stadium or their first time playing the Mets when the Mets are in a playoff race, stuff like that. Cool. They're amped up. Maybe they're a little more focused. Maybe they play a little bit better. Maybe teams come into the series expecting nothing from the Angels. I don't blame them. And I'm not normally someone who says these hypotheticals that aren't backed in any stats and reasoning, but that's really all you can say with this team. Because at the end of the day, it's baseball. It's numbers. It's me, the hitter, versus you, the pitcher. And if you are a bad pitcher and I'm a good hitter, I'm expected to get hit 1 out of every 3 times. And right now, the Angels aren't doing that, and they're certainly not doing it with runners in scoring position. But there's no real other theory you can have about why they're doing it against good teams and not doing it against bad teams, other than this team just lacks focus, lacks the right momentum when they're playing bad teams. And when you lose to bad teams, it's really hard to feel good about your team. Angels win says, wow, what a terrible game, but I enjoyed watching Vladdy crush one. What is wrong with Logan O'Hoppe injury? Fatigue? Or injury or fatigue? We'll talk about O'Hoppe, we'll talk about Vladdy, and then we'll wrap this one up. O'Hoppe, like I already said, I think he just needs a couple days off. He was playing so well. Then he goes to Yankee Stadium. There's all this pressure on him because he's got all these family, relatives, and friends in the stands, and he's absolutely awful. Since then, he's been absolutely awful. Baseball is a brutal sport as a hitter. And when you are not seeing the ball well, it doesn't matter. That's another thing. Because this is a momentum team, because these are young guys that are so momentum-based, it doesn't matter if you're playing a pitcher with a 2 ERA or an 8 ERA, a former reliever like it was yesterday, a guy in Kevin Gausman who's probably on the tail end of his career. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. If you can't see the ball well, if you're not confident in your swing, you won't hit no matter who it is. And obviously right now, O'Hoppe is just in one of those funks, and he's not seeing the ball well because it's not like he's hitting weak fly balls. It's not like he's hitting ground balls that are just getting stopped. He's striking out a lot, which means he's in his head. He doesn't know if he should attack the first pitch or sit and look at a couple. He's falling behind in counts, and he's swinging and missing a lot. And we know O'Hoppe is not a contact hitter, but he's been pretty good at avoiding strikeouts, at being a 270 average guy who's not always going to swing for the home run. So he's clearly just mentally not there right now. And that's why I think you need to give him a day or 2 off, because other guys, you're not playing well, you get a day off. But when you are a stud, young catcher that not only is typically a great hitter, but also always 100% of the time a great leader at catcher, a solid fielder most of the time at catcher, and like I keep saying, an above average athlete at catcher, Ron Washington is certainly going to play you every night, even if you're struggling. But if you're a right fielder, if you're a second baseman, if you're a first baseman, if you're having a rough stretch hitting, you will be taken out because someone else can play your position and be just as good defensively and maybe give you something offensively. Logan O'Hoppe does so much for this team that he almost gets penalized for it, and that he doesn't get time off if he's struggling. He needs the time off. We saw it with Zach Neto early in the year. We were talking about how bad he was for a little bit. I said he needed a day or 2 off. Ron Washington gave him a day or 2 off. He came back. He was good. Then he slowed down a bit. Then he goes up to Ron Washington and says, you know what? I need a change of scenery. Hit me second in the lineup. We do that, and he's been crushing ever since then. So sometimes these guys are young. They need changes of scenery. They need different experiences. Logan O'Hoppe, right when he was red hot, right when we were clamoring for him to go to the 3-hole, he gets moved to the 3-hole, and since then, he's been awful. Who knows? Maybe I and everyone else who advocated for that, maybe we're wrong. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe isn't ready to be a 3-hole hitter yet. Maybe you give him a day or 2 off. Maybe you put him back in the lineup hitting 5th, see if he can get his confidence back. I still want him hitting 3rd just because we're playing for nothing. I'd rather see O'Hoppe go 0 for 4, but learn from every at-bat hitting 3rd than sit in the bottom of the lineup and watch guys like Brandon Drury get out instead. In terms of Vladdy Jr., I know that we're clamoring to sign this guy. He can play 3rd instead of Anthony Rendon. He can play 1st, and Shanuel could DH, or Vladdy Jr. could DH. It would be fun. I mean, obviously, the Blue Jays really have an obsession with having the sons of former MLB players, so maybe they're going to value him extra. He's also a guy that, they didn't trade him at the deadline, even though they're playing for nothing, so it would be pretty foolish for them to let him go now. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do everything they can to keep him on their team and still try to make him a player of the future, because this team still has an exciting core. Obviously, no Bo Bichette right now, but you're telling me Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, this Willie Wagner guy, is it Willie? Yeah, Will Wagner. Willie. No, it's not Billy Wagner. It's not Willie Wagner. It's Will Wagner. But between Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, Will Wagner, this team is not terrible. The pitching hasn't been as great. And the Blue Jays are kind of always in it, but never elite, right? And it's just such a hard division. You have to talk about that as well. You have the Red Sox, Yankees, and Orioles in your division. I mean, that's brutal. So I don't really see Vlad going anywhere, to be honest. I think they're going to do what they can to keep him, re-sign him, give him a deal. Maybe you get him on a somewhat discounted contract because he hasn't been although I lie. He's been unbelievable. I didn't even realize how good he's been. I'll be honest. I thought he was playing well. I didn't realize he's hitting 320 with a 939 OPS. Never mind. He's been unbelievable. You better throw the bag at him or other teams will in the next couple of years. We'll get to a couple more comments. We'll talk about the game real quick tomorrow. Frustrating loss. Anthony Jimenez wondering if we're going to get swept. Joe Santa Cruz just with a shake in my head and the palm on the forehead emoji. Can't agree more. Joe says, we always salvage one. Tomorrow seems like it's it. Yeah, you're right. The same way we always salvage one run so we don't get the shutout, we always salvage one win so we don't get swept. And at this point, the goal is to win one of every 3 games so that you don't hit 100 losses. We already talked about Anthony Rendon not hitting home runs. I see there's people making comments. Justin Yamas, I think it is. I think this is my first time seeing a comment from you, so if it's your first postcast, welcome. He says, in LA, we call Mr. 38 million Hollywood lifestyle because he said he didn't want none of the Hollywood lifestyle in his press conference with the Angels. Mr. Hollywood lifestyle is the second highest paid position player in baseball. He has 0 home runs and his OPS starts with 5, yet he calls baseball a job. Yeah, and he hardly even calls baseball a job. He says it wasn't even a priority. Talk about Vlad, about when he is a free agent. Yeah, I think it is 2026. They gave him a long deal as a young guy. Fun Alex says trade Rendon and prospects. You'd have to give every prospect in the entire organization to get Vlad Jr. because not only that, it's like the NBA when it comes to Rendon. You know, baseball is a little different because there isn't a salary cap, but you know, in basketball, a guy might be considered a positive for a team if he's good and makes 20 mil. But if he's that same level of good and he makes 40, then he is considered a negative contract, where you have to attach someone to that guy just to get him off the books, get him off your team. And with Rendon, even in a sport without a cap, $38 million for what Rendon provides, which is literally nothing. Yeah, you would have to give up. You'd have to give up 5 prospects just to give Vladdy. He's a young star. But then you throw in Rendon, and you have to give up another 5 just to say thank you for taking this guy off her hands. So yeah, it's not happening. Literally, Fun Alex said that, and then he said no one would do that right after, and the laughing emojis. Hilarious. Justin adds, yes, first time making a comment here. Greetings from a fellow Bruin. Heck, yes, go Bruins. You see it behind me. Got the UCLA upside or up and down vertical pennant there. There'll be more UCLA gear once we get into true UCLA football and basketball season and we start doing UCLA postcasts as well. But with all that being said, shout out to you, Justin. Shout out to everybody in here. Fun Alex, Anthony Jimenez, Anaheim Angels, Skyler, Angels win, Michael D54, Joe Santa Cruz, Jeff, I think I said Anthony Jimenez already. Everybody, though. Skyler, I think I said you already as well. But shout out to everybody in here. This crowd has been growing and growing more and more every show. You know I appreciate it. And if you appreciate me always being here, even after disgraceful games like these, go ahead. If you're on your phone, flip it vertical, hit that like button. If you're on your laptop, scroll down, use the 2 fingers on the trackpad or use your mouse. Click the like button. If you're on your iPad, flip it up vertical, hit the like button. Would really appreciate that. Leave comments as well. Like I keep saying, join me for the next Rams postcast this weekend. We'll be taking on the Chargers. And yeah, appreciate all the support. Don't appreciate the Angels' recent performances. Another loss, 6-1. Let's win tomorrow. Tyler Anderson on the mound going against Barrios, who is pretty good. He's 10-9. Tyler Anderson is 9-10, even though Tyler Anderson's ERA is 2.99 and Barrios is, I was about to say Jackson Barrios. That's literally the wide receiver. Jose Barrios has a 3.97 ERA, and yet his record is better because even though the Blue Jays aren't good, their offense ain't as bad as the Angels. So yeah, it should be a fun pitching matchup between Tyler Anderson and Jose Barrios. Hopefully the Angels can come on top and avoid that sweep. But with all that being said, I'm Gavin Carlson. This was the Locked On Angels postcast. Angels lose 6-1. Thank you, Willie Calhoun, for not making it a shutout. We're signing off. Have a great rest of your Tuesday night. I'll see you back here tomorrow. And as always, go Angels. Let's turn things around tomorrow, please.